Hi everybody. I'm trying a new way using this. So hopefully you'll all be able to hear me. I've been doing some testing with this. So today I want to talk about what it's been like for me living in poverty. Specifically, like I've been living in poverty, not what I think about others living in poverty. For the past 4 years now, I have been living in poverty. I know maybe this is an opinion, I guess, but the way I'm dressed maybe doesn't look like I live in poverty, or the fact that I'm in a house looks like I live in poverty. But or that I'm able to drink a hot cup of coffee may not look like I live in poverty, but maybe it's because I took that from my own upbringing, where my mother was a single mother raising two children for most of the time, and then at some point when our brother came back from Peru to live with us, she was raising three children on and off. And my dad was pretty much out of the picture. And my mother, she did the best that she could, working multiple jobs, and she tried to work jobs at home so that we wouldn't be with. She wanted to still be able to take care of us when we were very little. She wanted to take care of us at home, but still make a living. But money was always very tight, extremely tight. And I'm not saying tight in terms of, living paycheck to paycheck. And because her paychecks, she had multiple paychecks because she had multiple jobs. And they were all with administrative positions, which don't pay very much. And she and we would often, she always did all the cooking. We never really ate out. It was a very special treat if we ate out. And we lived in a way that was very, what's the word? We lived within our means, frugally, is that the word? Frugally. We, weren't constantly buying new stuff. We had a lot of used secondhand stuff. My mom knew how to mend things. She also knew how to make things. She used to make our clothes when we were very young. And then when we started getting older and needing things, we would, apply for scholarships or grants. And then when I got to, when I was in college, I was part of the school's programs for getting help with getting my books and my supplies, and I had financial aid. And then I joined an internship that paid me a stipend, and that stipend went to my mother to help take care of the house, the mortgage, and then I moved out. But anyways, but she never wanted us to look poor. And when I say look poor, like she always wanted us to look like we had clothes that were not tattered. She did always want us to look like we had clothes that looked fancy or nice, because she really worried about our. And I don't want to put words in her mouth, but I had a feeling she really didn't want us to be ridiculed, or us have to worry about people singling us out, and then we would lose opportunities. And I can understand why maybe that could be the possibility of part of her mindset, because she wanted to leave that behind her when she grew up in Lima, Peru, where she was born, and living in poverty or remaining in some sort of image always got in the way of her success. And so she wanted to not appear as much as possible in any way that would keep her from success. And she had to battle as well racism when she moved here. She had to battle people not giving her opportunities or allowing her opportunities that she fought for because they thought that the way she looked and sounded would they didn't even think that she could be a possibility. And so on top of it, she didn't want us to have to deal with that by looking poor. So I grew up in this way of I always enjoyed nice tasting coffee. If I wanted to make a coffee, I enjoyed nice tasting and nice beautiful looking meals, but they were literally made with they weren't made with like the most expensive ingredients. We were rice and lentils, squash, and potatoes. And then we had our staple condiments to use with it. And she always cooked things in a Peruvian way. Now I find myself cooking. I don't cook in a Peruvian way, which is funny, but I cook in the way that my mom does. I look at what I have and I make something out of nothing. But it matters to me to make it look nice and not just thrown together, or that it's not made without love in a way where it's like, oh, we're so poor and this is what we have. So like, no, I make it beautiful. Even if it is going to be rice and lentils again today. Well, it's the most beautiful rice and lentils. And Davy will say to me, Mommy, can you please make this every day? I love it so much. And he's not even 5, so it's not like he's saying that to just spare me my feelings. He really loves it. I think he appreciates our rituals the way that I appreciate the way our mother did it. We to not focus on the poverty, to not focus on the lack, and to not focus on the struggle. But it's hard not to anyways. So anyways, but I'm going to backtrack. I'm getting ahead of myself because I want to talk about from the get-go what my actual situation is so you can get a better picture of what I mean by that I live in poverty. My bank account has never been more than probably $1,200, maybe $1,500 at times, but usually it's in the range of literally zero to $150. And that can be for a couple weeks at a time. And then the highest it'll go, and that means when I have saved up enough to get to the point of getting rent, or getting my rent money stored up, that's when it gets up to the 1,500. Currently my rent is $1,435 a month, and that's not including any utilities. That is the utilities on top of it are about $100 to $150 for water, sewer, garbage, and about $80 to $100 for electricity. For my internet, it is $55 a month. My car insurance, or my auto insurance, and including the renter's insurance, is $98 a month. And then for food, I spend about $500 a month on food, and that's including any supplies we need in the house, or me having a couple bottles of wine a month, or maybe like a 6 packs or 6 cans worth of beer maybe. But other than that, I usually try and only spend any other money that's not an expense. I only spend it on food. I don't buy new things. I don't buy clothes unless I'm willing to turn around on my reselling PoshMark. I sell my clothes, or I sell clothes that people have given to me to sell. And I save up that money if I want to buy myself something new because my jeans now have too many holes to mend. I've had some of the same shoes I've had since I was 16 years old, and I'm 32. I take really good care of my clothes and I use them well, and then the same goes for Davey. I mend his clothes, and I turn his jeans into short pants, like that go below the knee, like a hobbit. Or eventually, then when that looks not right, I will turn them into shorts. A lot of people gift clothes for Davy all the time, and then I have a couple good friends who love gifting me clothes. I have a dear friend of mine for the past several years. She's been gifting me clothes whenever she goes shopping to do her reselling business. She goes to the Goodwill or the Goodwill bins. That's where everything from the Goodwill retail goes to afterwards, is the Goodwill bins. It's like its last location before, maybe, hopefully not, but it may go to the landfill. It gives people to still buy these items, but at a much lower price. But if she ever finds anything for me that's my size, she just gives it to me if I'd like it. And then I'll sell something of my own again, to kind of replace and refresh my wardrobe. So, anyways, so all of that, I think adds up to about 2,500 a month. I might be wrong. That I have in expenses. Now, how do I pay for all this? Well, I've been living in this place technically for 2 years, but I've been back and forth. I used to live here with my ex-partner, my first ex-partner. We moved in together and we both shared the cost of rent. And back then I was doing part-time work, working at Costco, and I made $14 an hour. And that was my gross income. So my paychecks I would work 20 to 24 hours a week. And so I was making, I think, about 750 per paycheck every 2 weeks, which was great. But I worked nights because I couldn't afford childcare for Davy. And my ex-husband, or Davy's father, would not pay any of the childcare. He never has. And then whenever I have put Davy in school, how I've paid for childcare is by working for the school. So doing a trade of my employment to them for free school for Davy. Or at one point, I finally was able to convince the school to give me a paycheck, but let Davy still go to school for free. Were my conditions, because I just couldn't have. It was not serving us, other than at least it gave Davy a place to be around kids. But and that was great, and to be in a school environment, he loved it. But I couldn't afford it to work there and spend my time working there when I could be making money instead. So that's how Davy has been able to have school, or that's how I've been able to make an income, is by trading or working at a school so that Davy can be at a school, but make money. My child support currently is, and has been for the past 4 years, it's been $200 a month. I found out several months ago that my ex was actually making $20,000 more a year than what had been reported for child law or child support. What is it? Sorry, the Division of Child Support Services. It's the enforcement. He had not reported that, so I immediately requested a request for child support through them. And then about at the beginning of this month, it was about a month and a half long process of them doing the paperwork, and they had to contact his employer. They they finally contacted both of us after it all been decided that they're actually going to decrease my child support, that doesn't have to pay as much, that it would be that I only get $100 a month. And but I'm fighting that now, and trying to change that, because currently I am Davey's primary caregiver. He's with me all day, Monday through Friday, except for 2 weeknights with his dad, and then he's with him all weekend. His dad is able to work a 40-hour work week, but does not pay for any childcare. And in the past, when he has offered to pay for childcare, we have put Davey in school, and then he ended up not paying childcare. And so I had to. And then I had to pull Davey out of school because I couldn't afford it, or out of daycare. And then I had to quit my jobs, and try and find something new again. Other ways that I make money are I have my food stamps. So I currently receive $355 a month. It's the max amount that you can receive for 2 people in a household. And because I'm a parent with a young child, I'm able to receive this benefit without having to also do their employment program, which is that you have to be actively seeking work 40 hours a week, and also doing their program where you're doing resume building, job networking, and everything. When it's just food stamps or EBT, or they call it the Oregon Trail card here in Oregon, but I can do that until Davey, I think, is 5.5 or 6.5 or 6 years old. I need to double check that. So soon that benefit will change for us. But that's what I've been relying on for food for the past 4 years. There was a time where I applied for cash benefits, which is TANF, or Temporary Assistance for Needy Families. Other people know it as welfare. I applied for that a couple years ago, and that gave me $200 extra a month, but it was such hell trying to deal with that, because then they made my child support messed up, and I used to receive my child support once a month in a lump sum, and then it started coming to me in fragments, and sometimes I wouldn't even get the full $200 a month, and it never came on the same set days. It would come as $6, and then it would come as $97, and then there would be, I'm wondering, where's the rest of the money? And because their payroll, or not their payroll, but their system, how they process child support, it takes several days, and then it takes another several days, but it's always business days. And if there's a holiday, it takes longer for it to get to me. So I'd have to wait till the next month to receive the rest of my 200. Because I'd started TANF, that messed up the way I received my child support. And then it messed up a lot of other things. And I was required to do the jobs program, which was great. I loved it. It's not like I just want to sit here and do nothing, but I also, I was raising a young child, and I was determined to make being a stay-at-home parent work, because to me, that mattered, to stay at home with my child. I know it's not the only way. I don't think any other way is less or better, but to me, it was important to me to stay at home. And especially when Davey was much younger and he was still nursing, and we co-sleep, and so he was still co-sleeping with me. And just to put a side note out there, Davey does still co-sleep with me. I've noticed that has proved to help Davey so much with all of the transitions in his life, and going back and forth between two homes. And this is the other thing in my life. I have had to move many times in these past 4 years because I've not been able to keep a steady job due to not being able to have steady childcare, and it wreaking havoc on my nerves and my stress. And so it started affecting my physical body and my health, and I couldn't keep up with doing these kinds of work, no matter how much I tried. Working at the school, working at Costco, or working at a cafe, or working, doing babysitting, regular babysitting for people, working to be, there was another job, if I think of it, but every time I tried to do all these jobs, my back started going into spasm and I literally could not get out of bed. There was a day where I had to go to urgent care and they had to put me on, what is that kind of opioid kind of painkillers. And so, and I had to walk with a cane. I couldn't stand. I couldn't stand straight. I was standing like this or like this. And then, or I kept getting norovirus episodes or bouts, flare-ups of norovirus. So I was at home for a week just throwing up and diarrhea, all day for a week. And it was awful. This has been, this has been another thing. I'll talk about in another video how this I know is part of my twin flame journey. This is me learning about my inner strength, learning as a divine feminine how to get away from being a distorted feminine, how to not allow people to bully me from what I truly deserve, and how to heal my own traumas so that I don't allow myself to be okay with being in this kind of state of being where I'm worried all the time about how am I going to make money, or how am I going to keep our house, how am I going to put food on the table. How I cope with all this is my spirituality. And a good friend of mine, I'll ask her if I'm able to link her name and her videos and everything in this, but she exposed to me several years ago when I first separated from my partner, or from my ex-husband, my son's father, how to embrace a certain side of spirituality that I'd never knew before. And I have never been spiritual growing up. My mother was very spiritual. My whole family that I knew of was very spiritual, but they're all in Peru, most of them. Some are here in the States, but I never embraced spirituality. I was very depressed growing up and very lost. As a Sagittarius, my mind was always challenging, or I was always challenging everything around me. Like, why do we have to do this? Or why do people believe these things? And it would drive me nuts. At the same time, I envied these people who had their churches they went to, and they had these communities that they were a part of. But it also was, it was something that I resisted completely. If they wanted me to join it all, I'm like, this isn't for me. No. But I wanted that community. I wanted to feel a part of something. So I was very depressed. And then when I was 17, there was a book that we had to read in our literature class, and it caused me to spiral into this dark night of the soul where I'm like, what's the point in living anymore? what is the point of any of this? At that time, I was, okay, a disclaimer here. I'm going to be talking about sensitive topics here regarding suicide. I felt suicidal. I felt, and I would do self-harm. I was very depressed. A lot of this was very secret. Secretive. Nobody knew that I was like this. My own mother, I don't think, knew that I was like this because I kept it a secret. My sister didn't know this. As a matter of fact, I don't know if talking about it in this video now, I don't know if I ever exposed that to them. So I am sorry if this is the first time you're hearing about it, but I didn't want them to worry. But at the same time, I'm like, what's the point anyways of anyone worrying? Because what's the point of me? What's the point of any of us? I had nothing larger to hold on to. And I always felt out of place. And like I started resenting everything anyways. But at the same time, I had this big amount of compassion and love for others. And that was something that kept me going, is that, but I have love in me. And that's got to mean something. So later on in my life, here I am now as a mom. I find myself, financially struggling. I have this spirituality, newfound spirituality that I've been holding on to, and I have this crazy amount of new faith that everything's going to be okay. And it keeps proving itself to me over and over again. The way that if I keep thinking like this, Davey and I still are not on the streets. At least when he's with me, he probably wouldn't even get to be with me if I was on the streets. But somehow I've been able to manage keeping a home. And I tell you, sometimes I don't even know how. I have luck of Jupiter, luck of the universe. As a Sagittarius, I'm a very lucky sign. But I'm lucky because I believe in luck. I believe in faith. When you have a faith to something, and when you do, then you're really good at manifesting. But you're not good at manifesting in a way of like that you know how to do it directly, but indirectly I'm very good at manifesting, and that's how we've still been able to keep this home. I don't have a steady flow of someone giving me money. I have asked friends and family so much for money over the past several years, and I've been blessed that at times they've been able to help me when I really had nothing. I have gone to what they call here, one of our rental assistance organizations here is called St. Andrews. That's a legal clinic for low-income people. It is called St. Vincent de Paul. They helped me with my rent last month. The month before that, I set up a GoFundMe to help with our rent. Before that, I was living with another ex-partner, and he was taking care of the rent, which was very generous and kind of him because we were no longer together. But he cared about me and Davey, and he didn't want to see us being evicted. So he helped. Before that, we weren't not living here. I was living in a trailer on someone's property, and so it was considerably less money, and my little amount is I was paying $750 a month for my rent there. There was no down payment or deposit that had to be made. There was no first and last month. It was month to month. We had no utilities at all that I had to pay. I only needed to pay for my black water system, which is the draining of the toilet from the camper, which was it was $125 every 4 weeks to 6 weeks, depending on how often I needed them to come and service it. And before that, I was what one might call couch surfing. I was living in people's homes when they would go on vacation until I was able to find my own home. I did work trade for rent for people. where I took care of tasks for someone that they needed to get done. And they chipped away at my rent for that. I've been, so that's how I've done it. Um, and nowadays I also have my reselling business. And I help my friend who she's been so generous with me for the past 4 years of giving me all kinds of work to do. I call them my freelancing with her. It was taking care of her dog until he passed away recently, or yes, and now I help her, and I on and off I've been helping her with her reselling business. Um, and so yes. Anyways, I'll end the video soon here. These will be longer videos. I think they deserve more time. I'm someone who is a storyteller in that way. So I hope if you've gone listen this far, thank you. But I also just hope that it gives you information about I don't know, maybe it's helpful to you. Maybe you can connect with it. Maybe you're someone who had no idea that people live like this. And you'll start looking at your friends who might be in a similar situation to me in a different light. Um, if it had not been for people in the community helping and believing in my cause, my mission that I feel like I'm here to do, my mission of doing the unconventional, really going against the grain and not taking the path of doing a 40-hour week job and putting my son in a daycare school. And again, please, I don't judge anyone for doing that. We all do what we can. And but what I'm saying here is doing something that I wanted to do what I wanted to do with my life, not what other people think I should do with my life. If I went to work, it's because I wanted to go to work, not because I felt like I shouldn't. Every time I had gone to a job, it wasn't heartbreaking to me to leave my son somewhere else because I felt ready and good about that. I felt great that I could give balance to our lives, but I knew that I'm not going to work 40 hours a week though, because then I'll never see my son the way I want. I will not create the kind of home life that I want for us. He's still, in my opinion, too young for that. The building of the attachment bond to me feels like it's made stronger when a child is with their parent or their primary caregiver most of the time, instead of them being out elsewhere. And my experience working in a preschool is that children, the teachers definitely do the best they can, but schools more and more nowadays and daycares have really high ratios. Even if it's a low ratio of students or children to teacher, it children still don't get that one-on-one connection that they really want and also need, even though the teachers do their best. And on top of it, the teachers don't get paid enough anyways for taking care of our precious children. The job that they do is phenomenal, and yet they get paid nothing, and so they're tired, worn out teachers taking care of our children. And then here I am wanting to take care of my child, something I think that's honorable, yet my ex is only willing to fork over, in a sense, $200 a month, and now it's going to be $100 a month. Yet he's told me in the past that he would be okay with putting Davy in full-time childcare, which would cost $500 upwards to $1,000 a month. And I say, you're able to have someone else take care of our child for $1,000 a month, but only give me $200 a month for taking care of our child the whole time. my mission, again, now I'm going to go to my mission, my twin flame mission, my spiritual mission is I feel like I'm here to go against the grain and challenge the system, to challenge people. I feel like my ex-husband and I are karmic partners, or maybe twin flame, but usually twin flame wouldn't be so twin flames will not be toxic with you. Karmic partners can be toxic with you, but karmic partners are there for a really good reason. They're your soul teacher. They're there to show you things about yourself that do I want to keep being a victim? Do I want to keep allowing toxicity into my life? Or do I want to keep acting toxic? Whatever it is, they show you something about yourself. They bring a mirror to you. And how they do that is by not them saying, oh, you are like this. They're not like some guru. No, they can come to you in a way of like, they can treat you really shitty. And you have to decide at some point, do I want this anymore or not? Or they are really kind with you and you act shitty to them. And then you realize, wow, I act shitty to really kind people. Whatever it is, karmic partners show you all kinds of things. My ex to me has shown me how I have let his bullying and his empty threats and his bluffing, his somewhat narcissistic views on things, his trying to put ultimatums on me. It's shown me that I need to say no now. That I need to stand up more for myself and really take my life into my hands, not put the ball in his court anymore, as I have done. Not hoping that someone like him is capable at this point in time of showing me any mercy or compassion, or good faith. It's not like I had married a terrible person. Oh no, he's the sweetest person, really. He really can be so generous and so kind. But especially if you are his partner, or especially if you're his family. But if you are now no longer of any consequence to him, then it's like you're cut off, which can be like a negative way of a Taurus. That's a karmic thing for a Taurus to learn. And I can say that because I have Taurus in my own chart, in my my rising, my first house, my ascendant, and so I have known that kind of black or white kind of thinking and the giving of your energy or the giving of your resources, but it's different because I'm a Sagittarius. I have a lot of empathy and compassion, but at times also I may look like I don't know, because I also am very blunt or straightforward, but in a way that it's to be honest. And in that way I continue trying to think that, or believe that, why should he not be kind with me anymore? I'm still the same person and we loved each other very much. How could you all of a sudden treat the mother of your child this way? And I have to stop trying to understand him and just know that that's what he does. And it's up to him to change it or not. I can't hope for his potential anymore, or hope he'll change, or hope he'll be better. I can't leave my ball in his court anymore. That's so. Anyways, let me think. Taking my life into my own hands. And, appreciating where I'm at in my life, that's part of my mission as well, is, yeah, I live in poverty, but I can still enjoy my life and enjoy my blessings, be grateful for what I have, and especially be so grateful for what I keep learning every day about myself and my strength, and how I don't have to be negative anymore, but I can be hopeful, how I don't have to be angry all the time anymore, but I can move that anger into productivity instead, doing something, taking action in my life. How I don't have to feel like a victim anymore, because I don't have to be a victim. I either choose to be a victim or I'm not a victim. How I don't have to be okay, or I don't have to be a people pleaser and do things that are against my better judgment. I don't have to live a life that other people think I should be living. I don't have to act in a way that helps other people feel more comfortable, as long as I'm being respectful, which I really try to be. So here I am. I'm going to dress nice. I'm not going to dress like crap just because I'm poor. I am not going to go to someone and complain about my ex, or complain anymore about my child support. I'm here to offer all of this right now as information to someone out there that complaining is not going to get you anywhere. It's a wasted emotion. It really is just going to make you feel worse. I'm telling you all of my stories so that you can see how life gets better, more fun, and easier when you change your view, you change your reaction. You get, I also do therapy. I've done it weekly for the past 5-6 years now. My same therapist who, and I've been able to do that because she believes in what I do, my mission. She believes in the work that I put into our therapy, so she has offered me pro bono therapy. If I had not been putting any work and I kept complaining every time I go in and I don't change my life, she's been honest with me, she would not have continued doing therapy with me anymore, because I'm not putting in the work. Instead, I just come to complain for an hour and then that's it. No, she was honest with me, and I'm so glad, because that's not work. That's you just staying in drama and complaining. We all need to be in that moment for however long we need to be. And sometimes it could be years. But at some point, it's got to end if you want your life to change. And I got to that point with therapy and spirituality, law of attraction, learning about twin flames, twin flame journey, the twin flame path, that it will not serve me to live in those low vibrational ways of thinking anymore, or acting, nor being around people who constantly complain about their life, constantly complain about the victimhood they live in. I'm compassionate to anyone who is in that position or has been in that position. I know that pain. I know it's so painful. I know it's so hard. It feels so unfair, because it is unfair. It's unjust. It's rotten. It really is rotten lessons. But you know what? They're lessons. And you can choose to learn from them and grow, or you can choose to keep feeling miserable. I don't buy crap food when I go use my food stamps. I buy nice food. I don't buy super extravagant, crazy, intense food. I'm not going to buy a $30 box of pasta. But I am going to buy a nice box of pasta. Um, I am going to get a nice jar of sauce. I also fill my cupboards with bulk rice, bulk pasta, actually, not boxes of pasta, bulk things. Because it's more cost effective and it also is more sustainable. It's more eco friendly. And that feels great. That feels good. Being poor doesn't mean that I have to also treat the environment awful. And by doing that, that raises my vibration, that raises my mood, that gets me out of victimhood versus like, oh, I have to buy the cheapest stuff, and or I have to buy this because I can't afford that. It's like that keeps me low. And like, no, think about all the ways that what I can be grateful for, what feels good. um and so by doing all of those things, I don't know, that is part of the law of attraction. That's part of manifesting. It brings more good into your life. So we've always had food. I don't know how sometimes, but we have. Sometimes people have just delivered us food. Or there was a time where the grocery stores allowed me to, when I ran out of my food stamps, I had to start using my bank account, my debit card again, which was like, ooh. But I told myself, but I don't care. I need food. Um, if I'm going to be late on my rent, so be it. But Davey and I need food, and we need good food. Um, and people have said to me, like, why on earth, when you have no money, would you be buying something as expensive as avocados, something as expensive as this kind of nut milk, um, something this as expensive as this, that? I'm like, because we deserve it. And that's what fuels our body. That's what's going to fuel me with going forward with trying to figure out, how will I make my rent. You can't figure stuff out on bad, poor quality fuel. You have to nourish your body. So, and I believe the universe is going to help me. I'm going to figure it out. The universe is going to help me. The universe is my sidekick. The universe is not against me. Or if you call it God, God's not against me. God's going to help me see. The universe is going to help me see what I need to do. But I can't see if I'm sick. I can't see if I'm starving. I can't see if I'm so tired, because I'm staying up worrying sick and not going to sleep, not taking care of my body. But anyways, what I was saying is the grocery stores have allowed me to, when my EBT has become available, I take both my EBT and that debit card I had to use for my food, and they moved the money from my debit card onto my EBT. And so I had money in my debit again, but everything was fair and fine and legal because I was using my EBT again to pay for food. But it was like retroactively. Well, last time I went to go do that, there's a new policy where they don't allow food stamp people to do that anymore. The Oregon government, I don't know who it was, but the grocery store person told me, the clerk told me, unfortunately we can't do that anymore because it's against their policy. They've been cracking down on us doing that. We've gotten in trouble. To me, it amazes me how hard the system can make it for people who are in this situation, in this predicament, to try and get food. But again, I can't focus on, being a victim in that, or getting mad about the system, getting mad about the man, or saying, how unfair, this is ridiculous, or fighting with the poor grocery store clerk. No, I'm not going to do that because they have nothing to do with that. But what that tells me is maybe I'm finally moving away from having to depend anymore on food stamps. Maybe I am finally getting to that next step in my spiritual growth of I'm getting a better hold of my life and my finances, so I won't have to depend on it anymore. So it's kind of like it's the universe is pushing it out of my life. Recently, I tried to apply to also cash benefits again, the welfare, TANF, and they denied me. They said I made too much money. I talked about this in another video, and I think a vlog, my first vlog ever video, but they denied giving me any benefits because they said I made too much money because I was making $300 a month doing daycare or babysitting job under the table, and because I also made 200, or I was getting $200 a month in child support. So my $500 a month made it that I was not eligible with two people in the home, with a young child, and they knew all my costs, my expenses and everything. They said I made too much, so I wouldn't receive benefits anymore. Back then, several years ago, I would have fought, cried, screamed, like, how dare you? You're going to make this happen. I can't believe this is wrong. This is wrong. How could you do this to people? But now I look at it in a way of, you know what? It's because I don't want to deal with this system anymore. I don't want to depend on this system anymore. I want the ball in my court again. I want my ball in my court. This is what's going to keep happening if I keep giving my ball away. I keep giving my power away. I gotta find another way to do this. And there are other ways to lead your life, but you don't have to do it in a way that you don't love. So, I'll end the video with this. No matter what you do with your life, ask yourself, but do I love it? Do I love what I'm doing? Or if you can't get to do I love it, ask yourself, does this feel right to me? Does this feel good to me? Or if you can't even get to that, you're completely unsure, you feel confused and conflicted about what you need to do next. Just tell yourself this, you know what? I don't know how I feel about this, but what I do know is that I have a choice, I have free will, I can try it out, and if I don't like it, I don't have to stick with it. You don't have to stick with anything you don't like. Really. It is harder to feel that empowered. At the same time, I have to say this. It is really hard feeling that empowered. Oh, wait. For some reason, I hear my cat meowing, and I feel like he's stuck somewhere. I think my son might have accidentally locked him in somewhere. Just a moment. Oops, sorry. Squiggles! Squiggle! Oh no! He was stuck in my closet. And I just heard him meowing. Oi, darling. Oh gosh. What was I saying? Oh. Here, let's go sit down first. Oh, sometimes you just gotta laugh. That helps a lot, really, it does. Okay. At the same time, it is hard to feel empowered to think in this way when you don't have support, like a therapist or a spiritual community or a spiritual guru, a mentor. If you don't have a family that believes in you, or if you have people around you that don't believe in you and constantly challenge you in a way where they only cause you worry and anxiety. I mean, we all need challenging people in our lives to grow and learn about ourselves. But if that's all you have in your life, it's hard seeing what you're doing is right ever, or to trust yourself and your gut. Come here, Squiggles. And it's hard to do that when you're malnourished. It's hard to feel empowered when you're malnourished or to feel positive. It's hard to feel positive when you are sick. It's hard to feel that way when you are worried about, am I going to lose my home? Or you have a child to take care of, or maybe an older parent or someone you know to take care of. It's hard when you know you're going to lose your job, or if you may, and especially now in these times, a lot of people are scared about their jobs and their living situations and their health. When you're in all those things, all those feelings, all those situations, yeah, it is really hard. It's not like it's easy, but it gets more manageable. It gets more possible if you give yourself a chance to say, you know what, living like this though, how is that working out for me? What have I got to lose to try something different for myself? What if instead of feeding myself food that I hate, what if I start allowing myself to eat something I like every single day, even if it's just for one meal? Try it for a couple weeks and sit with your food. Something Davey and I do is we have a prayer every meal. It doesn't matter if we're simply just having a smoothie together or a cookie or a big meal. We have a mindfulness prayer every time, and we say this. So we've added Davey's prayer that he does at home at his dad's house because his dad raises him to be Christian at his house, so they have a Christian prayer. And then mine is a more universal prayer that we add to it. But I want to respect that Davey is growing up in two different ways, so I don't stop him from having his Christian prayer. So this is what we say. The first half is Davey's, or the Christian one. It's funny, actually, I can't remember that part. God, Lord Jesus, be our guest, make this food to us be blessed. And then that's the Christian one. And then we go on to say the one that Davey and I have come up with together, actually. And we keep tweaking it as we come up with more ideas. But we say, we honor the farmers who farmed this food. We honor Mommy for making this food. We honor Davey for helping to make this food. Or we honor Davey for setting the table today so beautifully. And we honor Mother Earth for providing this food for us. Amen. And when you honor what you have in life, you show this gratitude and this mindfulness, you remember some of the more important things. It lifts your vibration. It clears the muck from your brain. The muck meaning anxiety, the muck meaning worry, pain, despair, fear, resentment, anger. It clears it up a bit. Gratitude just pushes that out. And allow yourself to sit with your food and just, as best as you can, enjoy it and love it. Then, if you can do this, try and find yourself a therapist. Whether it's through your spiritual community, kind of a therapist, like your preacher, pastor, or maybe you find a women's or a men's group, a parents group, and there's someone in there who is very spiritual, or someone, if they're not spiritual, at least they're very positive, or someone who looks like they're succeeding at life. Even if it's someone who's poor, yet always seems to keep a smile on their face. Talk to that person. But don't try and bring that person down. Don't try and bring drama to that person, because that's not kind. Be mindful of how you are with people. And if you can ask a therapist, find a sliding scale fee therapist if you can't afford it. Maybe they'll offer you a deal of, can we go pro bono or can we go free? Do free therapy for several months to try it out and get to know each other, and you can see if I'm putting the work in or not. I'm trying to build my income. But I am determined to change my mindset. I'm determined to grow as a person, spiritually, emotionally. All right, we're at an hour. Anyways, maybe I'll see if I edit some of this video, but for now I'm going to put it out like this, and then I'll possibly put out an edited one in the future, so it's a little bit more, it's easier to do or to listen to. Thank you for staying with me this whole way if you have. I hope that you've gotten yourself something to drink or eat while you're watching, or you've taken breaks, many breaks, and then come back to the video. I'll keep you updated on my life and do another video on my twin flame journey, more explicit, where I only focus on what that means and what that means to me. I have another video that will come out soon. I've just had to wait for the developments of this thing happening in my life, but regarding that stray cat that I thought was a stray cat, that neglected cat, I'm going to put a new video on that because there are new developments to that story that I'm excited to share. So, be gentle with yourself. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope whatever I've shared with you has been beneficial to you and helpful to you. If you have anything that you'd like to share with me, I'd love to hear it, really. Please share it with me, whether you think that it's helpful or you think that, even if you want to share something with me that might not sound great, share it. If you like this video, if you give it a thumbs up down below, I think it's this way or this way, that helps my video grow. It helps me become monetized, which would be wonderful. I want to keep doing this. I'm very passionate about sharing positivity, sharing how to grow. But this channel can only grow if you also are part of helping it grow. And by liking the video, sharing it, pressing the share button or the share link, to spread the message to others, and subscribing, all those things help my channel grow, help my mission get spread out to others, help support me, and it's as a good energy exchange. I'll keep making these videos regardless because I really love doing this now. Anyways, take care. Bye-bye.